So we are going to begin 7.5 letter A. Here we go. The first thing I want you to do, everybody's in your note, 7.5 letter A. The first thing I want you to do is to read the problem and then take all the numbers from the problem and see if you can throw them in a chart. Okay? So see if you can get all the numbers. Every number in the problem needs to find a place in the chart. See if you can do that. While I get myself set up here. Read the problem. Take all the numbers, no words, just numbers, and get them into the chart. I have a chart for you right now. You don't have to make your own chart unless you really want to. I have the chart on the page there for you. Where are you putting the 180 and the 90? Where are those going, Alexis?
In the total?
In the total. So the total nitrogen is 180, and the total, what is phosphorus, is 90. Everybody okay with that? This is kind of like a matrix, sort of. All right. Where does the $10 and the $5 go, sir?
$10 goes under cost A and $5 goes under cost B.
Everybody okay with that? And then where does the 4 units of N and 1 unit of P go for brand A? Abby? So brand A, 4 units of N, 1 unit of P. And then what does B give me?
1 and 1.
1 and 1. So is everybody okay with the chart? All right. Now the question ultimately wants to know how many bags of each brand. So in other words, how many bags of A and how many bags of B, right? So let's let X be the number of bags of A, and Y will be the number of bags of B. Does that make sense to you? Generally speaking, we always let our variable be whatever will answer the question. Alexis?
What are we gonna do with the $800?
Okay. Oh. Yes, I forgot that number. Where does that 800 go?
Total cost.
That's the total cost. All right, so now I am going to set up some equations. These are called constraints. And the constraints go, that's what I left all these lines here for. So we're gonna look at our chart and we're gonna see if we can come up with some equations from the chart. Okay? So tell me if you see an equation for this row. The rows of the chart make equations. Do you see a row? An equation?
4x plus y equals 180.
4x plus y, and actually it doesn't equal 180. Actually, it's greater than or equal to 180. Read the question, or the problem, I mean. Does that make sense to you? All right, what about the next row? What does this row say?
X plus Y is greater than 90.
Greater than or equal to 90? I need at least 90. And then what does this one say? 10x plus 5y, watch it,
Is less
less than or equal to 800. Now, in this problem, my job is to find the combination of X and Y that's gonna minimize the cost and yet meet my requirements. So in this problem, I wanna minimize the cost. And the cost is found by doing 10x plus 5y. Would you agree with that? Now hang on to that, that's on its own separate line. That's not part of the constraints. These are the constraints. And the constraints are what you graph. Now there are two constraints that are automatically in the problem. And those are x is greater than or equal to 0 and y is greater than or equal to 0. Now, you don't need to worry about graphing those because when I set up your grid, I set up only the first quadrant. And what do we know about, if we're only graphing in the first quadrant, then x and y are both positive. Now, can somebody tell me why those are automatic? Alexis?
You can't have negative dollars or negative $.
I can't have negative bags, right? X and Y are bags of fertilizer, and they gotta be positive. They gotta be positive. Okay, everybody with me now? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start graphing these things. So I'm gonna graph this one first, and I'm gonna recognize that 180 is a pretty big number. So I don't think I'll count by ones, I think maybe I'll count by tens. Does that make sense? And how we do this, the easiest way to do this is cover up x, and then y is 180, right? So if x is 0, y is 180, so I'm counting by tens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now you just count your marks. But when you label that point, please label it 0, 180, because your scale was 10. So it's not 18, it's 180. Okay, that's how I did that. Now, how do you think I'm gonna get the x value? Same thing, only now 4x equals 180, and what is that? If 4x is 180, is that 45? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here is 45. So I'm graphing using what are called the intercepts. Feel free to use colored pens or pencils. Feel free to use a ruler to keep your lines nice and straight, because the picture is going to be part of our answer. Now, where is the red line shaded? Every time I draw an inequality, once I get my line drawn, I either have to shade underneath it or above it. Where is this one shaded? Above. So far, this is my area that I am working with. Would everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so now I got my handy dandy purple marker and I'm going to this equation. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna graph the intercept. So I'm gonna let x be 0. So y is 90. And then if I let y be 0, x is also 90. And I'll connect those two. I am not a good straight line drawer. Those are straight lines. They're not supposed to be curved like mine are. They're straight lines. And where is that one shaded?
Above.
Also above. So now I'm looking at, I'm above the red and above the purple. So I'm looking at this part right here. Do you agree? And finally, I have this one. And every problem is going to have a different number of constraints, a different number of things to graph. Sometimes there's only 2, sometimes there's 3, sometimes there's more. We have 3. Here we go. So, if I cover up, oh Lord, oh I'm okay. If I cover up y, x will be 80. And if I cover up x, 160. okay with everybody? Now, where is the blue one shaded? Below. So we actually have created a little triangle here. Would you agree with that? Right here. This is called our feasible region. And the answer to the question is going to come from one of these vertices. So our region happened to be a triangle, got 3 corners, and that's where our answer is going to come. So now we got to write down the corners. What are our 3 corners? Now, none of these are obvious, certainly on my picture. They may be a little more obvious on yours. If you're comfortable eyeballing, that's okay, but it doesn't always work and usually doesn't work. What we need to do is, let's just start here. This is my blue and my red, and I need to figure out where the blue and the red equations cross each other. How do we do that? Well, we solve them using substitution, elimination, Kramer's rule, the inverse method, whatever flips our switch. Red equation is 4x plus y equals 180, and blue equation is 10x plus 5y equals 800. You're going to solve that now however you want. No one cares, just get it solved. I like to eliminate, so I'm going to multiply the top one by -5. I think that's right. And so it looks like my x is 10. And if my x is 10, my y is 140. Now again, if you have a really good picture and you are comfortable just eyeballing that, that's up to you. The answers aren't always going to be whole numbers though, so be really careful with that strategy. Anybody have any question about that? Everybody good with 10, 140? Okay, so now we got to find this one, which is the intersection of red and purple. Colors really help. Red and purple. So red is 4x plus y equals 180, and purple is x plus y equals 90. Well, this one's a little easier. I got x equals 30. And if x is 30, y is 60. Okay, I did that kind of fast. Anybody have a question about it? Why don't you do the last one on your own? Okay, would you do the last one on your own? That's going to be the intersection of purple and blue. My purple and my blue. When you get it, I need a yay or a nay. I got 70, 20. So day 1 of this chapter, we did substitution and elimination. A couple days after that, we did Kramer's rule and the inverse method. Any of those are fine. I love to eliminate, so that's why I eliminate. But you can use any of the methods. But you must figure out what these corner points are. Okay, we're almost done. If I go to the store and I buy 10 bags of A and 140 bags of B. That's what my letters stand for. What am I gonna pay? How much am I gonna pay? Remember, here's your cost. So it's gonna be 10 times 10 and 140, times 5. So if I buy 10 A's and 140 B's, I'm gonna pay $800. That's what I know. Okay, what if I buy 30 and 60? $600? And if I buy, I got 800 for that one also, did you? So you're the farmer buying fertilizer for your fields. You want to minimize cost, obviously minimize cost. If this were a profit problem, you'd want to maximize it, but we want the minimum. So what are you going to tell this farmer to do? Buy 30 A's and 60 B's. 30 A's and 60 B's. Does that make sense to everybody? 30 A's, 60 B's. Okay, when we come back, we'll take our quiz and then try the next problem. Okay,